J.B.T. Media. The world under the microscope.
Dead people voting again. It happens in California all the time. But anyway, this is a story you need to pay very close attention to. If you haven't heard about it, this should make us all sit up and pay attention. You may remember one of the last EOs that Obama put out when he left office had to do with use of force. It was an executive order, which means it's not law, okay? But when you start getting DOD directives in there, that is something troops have to follow, okay? So look at this. It says U.S. military now authorized to kill Americans on U.S. soil? Question mark? Yes, that's what it appears to be going on here. It says here that as the U.S. prepares for one of the most controversial and closely watched elections in its history, a concerning update to the DOD Directive 5240.01 has quietly been put into effect. And it actually was reissued September 27th, which is just the other week this year. This directive governs the DOD intelligence activities and now includes provisionings authorizing lethal force in certain circumstances when assisting civil law enforcement. While the directive forbids assassination, that's pretty key, it opens the door to lethal intervention under national security conditions. So if they deem you a threat to national security, and they decide, you know what, I don't think our police force can actually take them down, we'll put them there, but very likely this person's going to be armored up and they're going to have a hard time with it. Nah, man, they'll send in they'll call in the cavalry on you. All right. So this is very important because what that does, you go, well, how can they do that legally with posse comitatus? You can't. So if this is actually allowed, then that tells you that our Constitution is about to be paused or voided, because this right here is against our constitutional rights. All right. Now, let me go down a little further on this one because this is where it is very interesting. A couple things. First, you see this right here, DOD response to chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear, and high-yield explosive incidents. Okay, I'm just going to highlight that because you may remember, if you've been following me for a little while, the fact that the FBI came into the state of Texas and met with a bunch of the large hospital systems, right? And basically trained them on how to respond to a large mass radiological event. So people that had been exposed to some type of radiation, nuclear, whatever it may have been, they basically tell them how to handle it, right? You wash them down. If you got it all, great. If you didn't, and they've been very exposed, don't even bother washing them. Just put a toe tag on them and roll them over to the corner because they ain't going to make it. That's what the FBI told the hospital systems here in Texas. Okay. So you let that sink in. That's the first piece. That's why I wanted to just point that out. Okay. Now the other piece here, it says assistance in responding with assets. That means bringing in soldiers and troops, equipment, whatever they need, with the potential for lethality, or any situation in which it is reasonably foreseeable that providing the request assistance may involve the use of force that is likely to result in lethal force, including death or serious bodily injury. Right? It also includes all support to civilian law enforcement officials in situations where a confrontation between civilian law enforcement and civilian individuals or groups is reasonably anticipated. Oh, by the way, the person that put this together was actually one of Obama's right-hand guys, right? Girls. Sorry, it was a lady. All right. That's who put this in and updated it. So pay attention, because that tells you right out of the gate that if things go the wrong direction during this election, this is how they're going to resolve it. They're going to send in the military and they're going to take you out. All right.
My name is Bradley. We talk about the stranger things that happen in your normal life to give you a biblical understanding of what is going on. And there is a lot going on, so make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that little bell icon so you're notified when things like this happen. Mikey, I'm bringing you straight in tonight. We're going to be talking about all kinds of stuff, dude. This is crazy. And sometimes I wonder, am I talking to the audience or am I just showing you all the amazing stuff that's happening? And so it's a conversation between us.
Yeah.
We already got into it at the very beginning. I was like, "Oh, I gotta show you," and this is what it's about.
Save it.
Oh, wait, we gotta do this live. So it's a lot of fun to number one, find this stuff, but a lot goes into it too. And as you know, because you got your own channel, you got to research, and dig into different podcasts. And usually, what you find is like 3/4 of the way through, hidden deep in it, and you're like, "Oh, that's what I'm looking for right there." But
that's what makes channels like this so great, because you're bringing the news to people so they don't have to scour through all that stuff. They just want to log into Strange Normal and see what the juicy stuff is.
Yeah, it's the condensed version, the juiced version. You got a lot of stuff going on your channel too. What do you have on your plate? I heard you had some pretty interesting stuff coming up.
So if anybody in here doesn't know, me and my wife have a channel called Candid Truth. That's Candid. And we talk about all kinds of stuff. A lot of it's like the pagan origins of things. We talked about the pagan origins of the Olympics. That stuff is right on their website, man. That these are games as a religious ritual to Zeus. We went to Washington, D.C. We got footage of inside the Library of Congress, and there is no Christianity in that building at all. It's all paganism, false gods everywhere by name engraved into the ceiling. That's one of the biggest ones right now. Did a video on Halloween, of course. I hope no Christians out there are still celebrating Halloween. The origins of that stuff is just so satanic. And we just got a lot of cool stuff going on over there. And if you want to check it out, give us a subscribe, and we'll join into the stuff together. We're seeking for the truth together.
Candid Truth. Very good. Yeah, you've got a very interesting channel up there.
Here's a new t-shirt.
Oh, yeah. Very good. Did you make that? Wow.
Yep, that's the new one right there.
I got to get more graphics going.
I know.
Haven't updated it lately.
I need to get one of yours. Let's do a trade.
Okay.
T-shirt trade.
But we've got all kinds of stuff happening tonight. What I really want to talk about, I'm going to lead with this story because it's in the thumbnail. Neil deGrasse Tyson, who I'm sure you know, he's the famous scientist that is pushing all kinds of stuff. But one of the things he said was the internet will be dead by 2026 due to AI. And at first I was like, come on.
I've heard of this.
And
dead internet theory. I've heard this before.
I had not. I mean, I'd heard of the dead internet theory in verbiage, but I had not dug into it because I thought, oh, come on, internet's not going to die. I'm an IT guy. I know that. I know how this stuff works. But seriously, when he explained it in a couple sentences, I was like, wait a second. I know what's going on here. There's much bigger thing going on here. I'm going to explain that as we get into this. But as everyone knows, this is a Christian podcast talking about the stranger things that happen in your normal life, and we're going to give you a biblical understanding about all this stuff. And so that means get your Bibles out, get your your iPhones open to whatever app you use. We're going to dig into it, and we're going to find the truth, because there's a lot happening here. But let's first get into the clip, and then we'll get into our Bibles here in just a moment. First clip will be Neil. Here we go.
Should have free speech.
Not Bill.
And I think the dislike of and
that's John
anguish
Kerry.
over social
John
media is
Kerry.
just growing.
Just a second.
I haven't seen that dude in so long.
Well, he's on his last leg, it looks like. But I have the wrong clip in here. Let me pop this in and see if I can get the right one going here, because somehow that got out of order. So this doesn't happen often. But there he is. There's Neil. Now watch this.
Right now, there is, I mean, who would have guessed this 20 years ago?
Bring up his
Right
audio.
now, there's content on the internet that is true.
Yeah.
And content that is purposefully false.
Right.
All right. I have, I think, a good way to assess what is true and what is false. First, you check your bias at the door, look at sources, look at verification of sources, make sure the sources are not just repeated multiple times. So you have 10 different websites, but they're all quoting the same information, the source of information. So the fact that there's 10 websites doesn't make it 10 times as true. So you have to buffer against all of this. All right. Until now, there are people who believed the fake news as true.
Until now, people still do.
Hold on. Okay, until the near future. There are people who believe fake news as true.
Right.
Yes, the Democrats are eating babies in the basement of the pizza shop in Washington, D.C. When AI becomes so good at creating deep fakes, even the people who believe the fake news will no longer believe that the fake news is true.
Right.
Because the risk of this fake news being faked is so high that the entire internet will lose its integrity.
Its
and
credibility.
It will be buried under the weight of its own of its own falsities, of its own
inability to check itself and to
correct. Because there are people just putting fake information on there because AI can do it. AI can do it like this. At first it was a fake voice and a fake image, fake video, and someone sampled 2 minutes of my voice and wrote it to say something. It sounded just like me.
I'm going to pause it right there just for a second. You got half the clip left. But I believe what he's saying is absolutely true. I don't know about the date-wise, but I do believe we're seeing things happen so fast. I've already seen clips coming out that have imitated people. I've even seen clips of me talking, and someone changed my voice into a different language for a purpose, and so it wasn't fake. But I was looking at this going, if this is possible, I'm glad I'm not someone well known, because I'd be kind of terrified of what someone could do, and then you lose all credibility because nobody knows what's real. This is where everything changes over, and I see a satanic agenda because usually I know God, spiritual realm works through people, but the markings, the ear markings of this stuff is that there is no way to stop this, and it's not like you can go to a group that's over here, or the Vatican, or some underlying Masons or something like that, and go, hey, we'll just get rid of those people, or show them what the truth is, or witness to them or something, or change their mind somehow. This is something that if one person doesn't do it, it's gonna happen anyway. And so what does that lead to? Yeah. So what does that lead to?
Well, I don't know if he's gonna get into it. So like you, I'd heard the dead internet theory, but I didn't really dig deep into it. What he's saying makes a lot of sense. The things that I see often on Facebook are some it's AI, Mid-Journey or something, some third world country kid, and he's standing there with this big sculpture made out of a bunch of Coca-Cola bottles, trash, and it looks like King Kong or something. And there's like 120,000 comments on it that all say, God bless you, amen, this is amazing. I'm like, okay, nobody's believing this, right? Like, this is clearly AI. And so people are like, look at all these boomers that believe this is true. And it's like, no, it's all AI. The account that was created was AI created. The image that it created was AI created. It shared it. All the commenters are AI. AI is creating accounts, creating content, sharing that content, and then liking it like crazy and commenting on it. Like, where does that do? What does that do for us? Like, who wants to be in a world where they're like, used to, we were like, wait a minute, don't do online dating because it could be a big fat guy on the other side of the computer. But now it could not even be human.
Yeah.
You could fall in love with an artificial intelligence robot.
Right. And imagine there's only or half of those profiles are are just AI. No one would go to online dating anymore because you you just don't know who's real. Well, I guess you could say, hey, let's actually go meet up. But I think what's really interesting, and what I think this is leading to, and he's going to go into this in just a second, because I truly believe what he says about this is true. I don't believe everything this guy says, but I believe what he's saying is that this is going to switch the credibility machine back to individuals that have authority. And so what do we see happening here? Like from the very beginning, you had CNN, Fox, NBC, bringing you the credible, but and then all of a sudden, and then it went to podcasts because people are like, I don't trust the biased media. Let's go actually see someone that's actually got the right ideas about this stuff and that I can trust. And so the podcast idea was made. Now you got that podcast system that can write their own podcast and do their own voiceovers. And like we saw last episode or the last episode before that, and imagine the internet full of those people, and then you're like, man, I'm just going to go back to someone that actually is an authority in this. And who's the ultimate authority when it comes to spiritualism? Yeah, but I think this is leading up to making the Vatican the authority of the ultimate authority of spirituality. Come back to the mother church. We can trust them. Right. So listen to what he says, and then let's comment on it real quick, because this is the rest of it.
However, I'm way more literate than what that person wrote to have AI speak. So I knew it wasn't me. So you might need other, because all I was doing is sampling my voice, not my literacy, not my education level.
Okay, but then what do we do then? Because most people...
It's the end of the internet. Tombstone. Internet.
You think so?
1992 to 2026.
It's the end of the internet. Then where does information and facts come from? Because everyone...
Books!
But we're going back to books.
Maybe.
Because everyone turns to the internet for information. You want information, you just put a Google search or a...
People will recover in the timeline of knowledge. They will recover the true value of an expert.
Really?
I think that's my prediction. Think about it. You don't fix your own plumbing. You hire a plumber who has that expertise.
Right.
You don't say, well, I have a conspiracy theory that the plumbers are trying to do it, and I don't trust the plumber. They say they're an expert, but no, you hire the plumber. You hire someone to fix your car who's an expert at fixing your car. When we're going to tell you that humans are warming the planet catastrophically, and it's going to flood the coastlines, you're going to say, oh, I don't choose to not believe that because my political platform doesn't. I'm like, excuse me? Well, I found an internet site that says it's all, and so once all of that has turned to rubbish, all you have are the experts.
All you have are the experts.
And who says who the experts are? So basically, we're going back to books. I'm not totally against that idea. I mean, I enjoy the, I always say we live in the information age, and there's no excuse these days to not know things, because when I was growing up, I wanted to know a lot of stuff. Why can't I watch MTV? Why can't I watch The Simpsons or whatever? And I just never got good answers. It was always because I said so, or it just looks bad or whatever. And I'm like, but now, I believe that there's a lot of people who are critical thinkers, logical thinkers, skeptical minds, and now they can do the research. They can ask AI. The good thing about AI is that it can scour everything and give you kind of, what's the right word? Like
a synopsis?
Yeah, I was going to say that word too, but I don't know if that's the word. Like an average of all the evidence out there, and give you kind of an average of the answer. But there is bias in it, and that's the part I don't like. If you ask it something political or religious, it is programmed to have a bias, but it is open source. So I don't know how to do it, but there's people that know how to get around that stuff. I figured you'd know how to do it.
I have installed my own AI systems. They're not actually very big, these LLM large language models, but it takes a while for it to process, which is different than actually going on ChatGPT. Anyway, no one cares. But what, but I think what's interesting about this is that that's not the same direction that it's gone from books or the authority back to hey, let's figure out what this is on our own, looking at all the material, to this material's chocked full of chaos, to let's go back to an authority in this, all without the government stepping in and saying, hey, we need to get rid of that First Amendment thing. That's that freedom of speech. We don't like that because it's making it very difficult for us to prove what is true. It's going to damage itself on its own, and maybe it's not. This is just throwing this out there. Maybe it's not people that are making these things. Maybe it's someone that wants to be the authority that's making all this chaos, and that's trying to ruin the internet. It's a theory, but
back in like the 60s or 70s, I think it was when JFK was in office or something, there was a big rally and they were walking with this big banner that said free speech. It was all about free speech. And when we were growing up, we were both born in 83. When we were growing up, it was all about pushing the envelope. How offensive can you be? The Simpsons, South Park, all this thing, Eminem and Kid Rock, and they're just always giving the bird and all that stuff. And then all of a sudden, now we're in a culture where it's like, wait, you're offending me. Don't misgender me. Your sticks and stones, we used to hear sticks and stones might break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Now they're saying your words hurt me, and you can be arrested for calling a man a man. These are rumors anyway. I don't know if it's arrested or fined or whatever. But we're getting to that point where just not too long ago in our lifetime as teenagers, it was like, no, we don't care if you're offended. We're going to say it, and we got freedom of speech, and I got free will, I got free speech or whatever. But I've seen these rallies at these like pride parades and stuff where they took that same banner, they reenacted that same free speech banner, and everybody was stomping on it and burning it and stuff. And I'm like, what? Who in their right mind would say, we don't want free speech? We want you to control us. We don't want to be able to be free thinking beings. And if we say the wrong thing, we want to be, persecuted for it.
Yeah. I was just
talking. This is crazy, dude.
I was just talking to my family just about this today. I'm working on a house, and so they came over and helped me out a little bit. But one of the things I said was, things are crazy in this decade because previously, from elementary school to high school to we had things you'd go dress up for, or you would you were in a play, so you had to be in a play. I remember I was an Indian. That today would be absolutely bad, dressing
Native
up
American, bro.
I know. Can you imagine? And so I think it's really interesting where we're at, and I kind of push back against that because I'm kind of like, come on, but
no.
So we are so concerned about offending people today that it's absolutely insane. I'm sorry.
Well, the logic shoots their self in the foot though. Like, okay, Redskins, we grew up with that ball team. They're no longer called the Redskins. I don't know what they're called anymore.
The Braves? You talking about the Braves?
No, they were called the Redskins. Okay. I don't know. It recently changed. Not when we grew up. But then there was like the Land of Lake Butter or whatever with the Native American woman on there.
Bottle. That's woman. Right. Yeah.
They got rid of that. Aunt Jemima got rid of that. The maple syrup. They got rid of, and it's like, wait a minute, where's the logic here? Because I thought the push was for representation. Mm-hmm. Now we're taking all the brands, Uncle Ben and stuff, that have minorities as a face of the company, and we say, no, take it off. That's offensive. That's racist. And if you look into the history of Aunt Jemima, like she created this whole company, and it was like a big deal because she was, back then a minority was not known for that kind of stuff, and she broke history, and now they remove her from it.
Right.
It is so illogical. It doesn't even make sense. Even when on Little Light Studios, we did a video on anime, and one of the characters was a taco delivery guy. We needed somebody to kind of be like an outsider that entered into the picture. And so a taco delivery man who was Alex, who's literally Mexican, he voiced it. He loved it. The taco guy shows up to the house, knock, knock, knock. He's wearing a sombrero and an outfit that looks like a taco because he's a taco delivery guy. And people are like, this is racist. We're like, why is it racist that a Mexican working for a taco delivery company is wearing a sombrero and a taco costume when I go to the Mexican restaurant, I see murals on the walls of Mexicans wearing sombreros and ponchos and stuff. There's nothing racist about culture.
Right.
I mean, you dress culturally, you're going to wear a sombrero and a poncho and stuff. Dude, I don't know. It's just, I have to say that just because it's so illogical, it's so dumb.
And it goes even farther than that. I realize we're probably completely off on a rabbit trail of this, but this is really interesting to me because it goes far. We're concerned about hurting someone's feelings, which I admire, and I don't think we should be mean to anybody.
Right.
But at the same time, I think also we need to think about the grand scheme of things, because also what this is hurting is this ministry right here, and this is why.
Yep.
Let me bring this right back to home for those who are scratching their head, going, "Where are we going with this?" This is important because I won't say any names, and Mikey don't either, because I think you were in the room when this happened. No, you weren't.
Oh, okay.
No, you were I think you were somewhere else. But we went to I was with a group, I'll say that, and we went to talk about this specific topic. And they were told, you can talk about everything else, but you can't talk about UAP because we can't have that on our show. And I'm scratching my head, going, we're talking about last day spiritualism. This is an important topic. You know, we're with a group of Christians. This is something that I think that they would want to know more about, but it would hurt the bottom line. They would have donors that wonder what we're doing. You know, I think it's more important to educate. And so they were worried about other people's feelings. And those people's feelings would be hurt, so they would stop donating. And so I think I scratch my head and go, this cancel culture has got to stop. And I've seen Christians do this too. Oh, we're not going to Walmart because they've done this and this and this. It's going to, and again, I think that there has been organizations that have done terrible things. However, it's creeping into Christianity so much that it's going to become cancel culture on the saints. And that's what my concern is. That's where I'm going to draw the line, because if it comes so much that we're going to stop people buying and selling and living their life only because we don't agree with them, we don't want to hurt someone's feelings. That's Revelation 13.
Yeah. I mean, if you say that Jesus is the only way, the truth, and the life, then you're discounting all these people that have their own belief. I mean, how bigotry of you to think that you have the right God when all these people around the world have different gods. And that's when the Pope comes in and they have these commercials like we all, Buddha and Muhammad, and we all serve the same God. Love. That's how Satan speaks. 99% truth is not truth. God is love. God is accepting of all cultures and all nations and peoples and tongues, but there is only one way, and you will not get to the Father except by him. And to leave that part out is salvific. This is vital. Like, this is what the mark of the beast is all about. Compromise. Look, it says in the last days, it's going to be, when they say peace and safety, it's going to look like, man, love, coexist. We're all finally getting along. But this remnant of people, they think that you have to keep this certain day and don't bow down to images, and you have to, and Jesus is the only way.
Yeah, preach. That's exactly what's coming down the pipe. It's going to be Christian cancel culture, because we've learned from the secular that this is how life works. It's not how life works. That's not how we do it. But speaking of politics, I want to jump into John Kerry and what he thinks about this.
In the colony of Virginia, we can see right here that anybody who, now they define the Sabbath day here as Sunday, but anybody who didn't preach upon or go to service on the Sabbath day, if you didn't do that a couple of times, I mean, you could ultimately be whipped, but for the third time to suffer death. I mean, there was a death penalty in America early on if you didn't rest on Sunday. And, that Maryland had a Toleration Act. I say the intolerable Maryland Toleration Act because it was anything but tolerable. But the Lord's Day called Sunday, you had to rest on that day because if you didn't, you were going to get publicly whipped and shamed.
Yeah, I mean, how many people have died just because I said, I want to keep all of God's commandments, and I'm willing to be tortured for it?
Visit J.B.T. Media on all social media. Like, follow, share, and subscribe. Thank you.